around.
Have you seen Oklahoma already start to kind of prepare themselves for the SEC in terms of you need big line? I mean, everybody wants great linemen, right, on offense and defense, but there is a different style or different makeup of guys in the SEC. Do you see them kind of planting the seeds, knowing that that's right around the corner? Or is the focus just squarely on, hey, this is year one and this is where we're looking?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it that you're seeing some of the seeds planted for that. And it does start at recruiting when you see, especially the defensive linemen, the differences in the guys that they're not only going after, but actually are taking serious looks at Oklahoma, which that was as big a problem as any. It wasn't necessarily who they were going after, they were able to get and bring in. And I think that dynamic is starting to shift a little bit, especially as you get into players who, if they stay 3 years, are going to play in the SEC at some point. But the other thing is just the structural makeup of the program and the department. You've seen that start to shift as Brent Venables has brought in just a ton of other staffers. He's got a five-man sole mission team that's devoted to off the field work with players. But beyond that, even communications and graphic design guys, just on-field support staff guys. They've added just a ton of manpower over the last few months. And yes, part of that is just the fact that they're transitioning from Lincoln Riley to Brent Venables and changing the program into his vision. But a big part of it is looking forward to that move to the SEC and not trying to, enter in such a deficit as they would if they were structurally built the same as they were, when Lincoln Riley left.
Are those things, of course, some of that's modern stuff, but is that some of the differences you've seen that maybe you picked up from Dabo Swinney and working at Clemson for all the time he was there?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it that a lot of the things, especially that sole mission that I talked about, the off-the-field stuff where they're doing some community service, for instance, this weekend down in Miami. They're doing some other like internship and resume building stuff, and just a wide variety of stuff. That's stuff that directly comes from Dabo Swinney and what he did, what he's implemented out there at Clemson. And I think it falls, in a big part falls in line with what Brent Venables has thought about his job all along, going back to his days at Kansas State. I actually wrote about this a couple weeks ago, and always wanted to do things like this, but never really saw it implemented until he went out to Clemson for his interview. And that's what he fell in love with, why he decided to initially join Dabo Swinney out there. And it's a big part of what he's brought from Clemson back to Norman that's different from when he left to go out there a decade ago.
Ryan, I know there's nothing's ever really unanimous, but in terms of that move to the SEC here in the next 2-3 years, is it pretty overwhelmingly in favor of the move? Are people mostly excited, or is there any hesitancy at all on the part of fans knowing they're like, hey, we might not be winning the conference every year or every other year the way that we got accustomed to in the Big 12. Are Oklahoma fans kind of prepared for more money, better opponents, fun schedule and all that, but that might come at a price?
Yeah, I think they understand what's going on. That it does mean more money, and it might mean a few more losses along the way. But the thought process, I think, for most of the OU fans that I've talked to is yes, all that stuff might be true when you look at the negatives of it, but it puts them in position to be in better position to win national championships, and that's something that it's crazy to think of that this national championship drought. It's hard to say that, but they've gone 21 seasons, 22 seasons without one at this point. It's the longest they've had since they won their first one in the mid-50s. So there are people that are really anxious to get that behind them, and I think they feel like, for the most part, that this move will put them in better position to win championships. They just might have to go through some growing pains, and also, have to deal with the competition that'll lead to not quite as many wins in the regular season here moving forward in all likelihood.
Man, when you hear that drought and you just think of all the opportunities they've had, right, to break that streak. I mean, golly, so many appearances with a chance to change that, and just have come up short every time. But yeah, it's amazing to think that's already been 21 years. But they've had 5 opportunities in that time period and just fell short.
Yeah, they've been there, really as much as anybody else, outside of probably Alabama and Clemson and maybe Ohio State over the last few years. They just haven't been able to break through and get another one. But the consistency of this program, I think, is what really stands out when you look nationally. But like I said, they're ready to break through and get that championship. And to do that, I think this move to the SEC will put them in better position for that, to reach that goal.
So, Ryan, I'd imagine